Hello and welcome to week 7 of Education 355. We are going to be nearing the end of our course time. Can't believe it, 2 weeks left. But we are also going to be finishing some of our content pieces and types of writing, and also talking about winding down our tutoring project or our small group work as we conference with our students on their writing skills. So let's check in on our syllabus for week 7 to see what our learning outcomes are, our chapters and readings, and our assignments that are connected to our learning outcomes. So our first learning outcome is that we are going to recall ways and types of persuasive writing and organization of an argument. And that is connected directly with Chapter 11 and the content within Chapter 11, and it will connect to your interactive notebook, which we will talk about in just a moment. We will also collaborate on a list of items or topics that elementary students can write persuasively about and how it connects to their classroom or the school or their community maybe, how it's relevant to them, and that will connect to your discussion board. We'll also compose a persuasive argument through either a poster or a letter or an essay about some educational topic of your choice. That will be your student writing piece. And then again, you're continuing to implement your writing assessment and progress monitoring plan for your small group of students in your classroom. And that connects to your assessment plan that you have been doing for the last couple of weeks. So let's go back into our weekly content, and we'll take a look at everything that we have built into week 7. The first thing that you'll notice is your discussion board. So this connects with a couple of those learning outcomes. So it's very important to recognize that there are some topics that are easier for our primary grade students to write and respond to or write a persuasive piece to. And then there are some topics that are more relevant for intermediate or upper elementary grades. So I want us to start thinking about what are some of those topics that our students can write about, and they're the greatest generator of these ideas. Ask them some things that they're feeling about and some things that they're wanting to change in the school or in the classroom, and have them write about those things. But it never hurts to have a jump start with a couple of ideas on a list. So be sure that you post your initial response to those 3 questions and reply to each colleague's post. So students starting to gain their voice. We talked the other week about the 6 traits of writing and students really gaining a voice in their writing and having a voice in their writing. So that's important for them, and it's very relevant once we get to persuasive writing. And that's what Chapter 11 is about. So the 3 things that I want you to respond to in your discussion board are, what are 3 topics that a primary grade student, so grades K2, what are some things that they could write a persuasive piece about? And then what are 3 topics in a more intermediate grade, so grade 3 through 5, what's something that they can write a persuasive piece about? And then also decide what is the educational topic that you're going to be writing about this week and why you chose that topic. So we're going to get to that in a minute down here when we look at our persuasive writing piece, but be thinking about kind of a hot topic in education, and specifically elementary education. So in your discussion board, you're going to write a comment about what your topic is and why you chose that. So if you remember back in our syllabus, our first learning outcome was connected to persuasive writing, and your evidence of knowing that information, that content, will be in our interactive notebook. So the persuasive writing piece, so you're going to refer again to Chapter 11 for this key information. Your persuasive writing in and of itself, that is defined. 3 ways to persuade are identified. 3 ways to persuade are defined, and the organization of an argument is visually represented, as well as the types of persuasive writing. So you have several pieces that are connected, but they're almost standalone items as they are related to that persuasive writing umbrella. So you need to make sure that at the very beginning of the chapter, we talk about 3 ways to persuade. And for each of those, that you define each of those. Then you also have the organization of an argument. How do we build our argument? Now, obviously, that's going to look a little bit different for younger students compared to older students, but in general, what is the organization that we follow to most clearly and articulately explain our reasoning and our arguments, and support that with our evidence. And then there are several types of persuasive writing that are identified in the chapter, so you want to make sure that you include those in your interactive notebook as well. All of that information is again found in chapter 11. All right, so now your writing piece. Your persuasive writing piece, you are going to choose a kind of a hot topic issue, and you're going to create either a poster, a letter, or an essay where you are writing a persuasive piece about some elementary education topic of your choice. So choose something that's kind of a hot button issue or a hot topic for elementary education. So there's a lot of issues that apply to education across any grade level, and those are perfectly fine, as long as it's something that's not specifically for middle or high school, because then it's not relevant to elementary. But you will decide if you want to design a poster, a letter, or an essay. You need to make sure, again, refer to chapter 11, that there are 3 ways to persuade based on reason. You're going to appeal to character or make some sort of emotional appeal. So choose one of those 3 ways that you're going to try to persuade your audience. And then also refer to figure 11.1 for the organization of an argument. So we start our argument and our persuasive writing piece up here with our position. So that's kind of like the beginning of our writing. The middle of our writing, we're going to have 3 reasons to support our position that was up here in our introduction. And then we're also in the middle, in a separate paragraph, going to have our counter arguments. So this is something that's not as relevant in the younger grades and probably not until the higher end of elementary. But a counter argument for us is very much relevant, because any hot topic issue in education or elementary education certainly has a counter argument for sure. So we have our introduction and our position, our 3 reasons and our counter arguments, and then our conclusion at the end. So there are several examples. If you look at that figure 11-1, there are several examples in the textbook that talk about or that show the way that students have worked through that organizational piece. And so it's not adult versions of it, but you can at least see that and how it functions in a classroom. The topic is anything that you choose, again, so just find something that you're really passionate about and decide if you want to persuade through a poster, a letter, or an essay. But also make sure that you remember you need to identify the way that you want to persuade. Are you going to persuade based on reason? And then, of course, you're going to have your 3 reasons and your counter arguments. Are you going to persuade your audience by an appeal to character? You're still going to have your 3 reasons and your counter arguments, but it just kind of changes the tone or the lens that you're going to write through. And then you're also going to, you can choose an emotional appeal. Again, you still have your 3 reasons and your counter argument, but it's more tugging at those heartstrings to get people to persuade people to change their mind. So the rubric here is a little bit more involved, and so typically these student writing pieces are 25 points, but I've upped this one to 30 because there's so many points or pieces that are involved in here. So your topic is a current topic, so not something 10 years ago like No Child Left Behind. We've had that argument and we've kind of legislatively moved past that, so that's not something that's as relevant or as much of a hot topic issue right now. So something that's a hot topic for elementary education. It might be something that is a hot topic for students or teachers or parents or stakeholders or everyone. The format, so the fact that you've chosen a letter, a poster, or an essay. You have one of the 3 ways to persuade. So you've either chosen and you've written to persuade based on reason, character, or emotional appeal. And then each of those pieces in the organization of your argument. You have your position, your reason 1, reason 2, reason 3, your counter argument, and your conclusion. And then your writing also is engaging, it's grammatically correct, it's easy to read, and it does not have distracting errors. So each of those is worth 3 points, giving you a total of 30 points for your grade. Again, that's an adjustment from our normal 25, but there were a lot of criteria, and I didn't want to get any less than 3 points per criteria. So that is the work that you have for week 7. And before we jump into week 8, I just want to give you a little peek and talk about what we're doing for week 8, because week 8 is really kind of a wrap-up. So I want us to be able to at least just take a peek at that. There will be a week 8 video as well. Oh, well, there's no content to display because it's all in the syllabus. Okay, so our week 8, we are going to be working through finalizing your assessment and progress monitoring plan for your small groups of students. So you're compiling all of this into something that you're going to upload. You're including any pre or post data, formative assessment data. So it could be any data that you've had. It could be pre-assessment data from a writing piece before you started your group. So we'll talk more about that next week. But just be gathering as much evidence as you can as you work through your last couple of weeks with your group. We're going to have a format where you can share the results of your plan. So that will be a discussion board piece where you're able to share how your small groups went. And then you are going to, in your classroom, hopefully be able to have students publish a final piece. So it could be in your small group. It could have been something that you and your classroom teacher partnered with. And so that published piece will be something that you'll upload as well. And then the final exam is your interactive notebook. It's that you've completed all pieces of that interactive notebook as well as your assessment and progress monitoring notebook. So all of that information will be available for you, and I'll do another video for week 8. But I just wanted to make sure to touch base and give you a little peek into week 8 so you know what to kind of be gathering as you wrap up your group. If you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I appreciate your hard work, and I'm so excited to see the results of your small group work and everything that you've been doing with your students. So thank you so much.